Recording is on.
Hello and welcome, Inspired Podcast community. This is your new episode. My name is Caroline and my today's guest is Bo Bennett. Was it?
That's right.
Bennett. Yeah, I'm happy that I can pronounce your name. Thank you so much for saying yes to our interview. And how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
I'm happy to meet you and to talk to you about your topics. But first, I would love to introduce you to the audience, of course. You hold a PhD in social psychology and you specialized in social sciences, business success, comedy, and artificial intelligence, what we call AI, right? You have written extensively on critical thinking. You sold a company for $20 million by the age of 29, and you created the animated sitcom Squad. You also run AI-driven websites, sparking both intrigue and debate. Welcome to the Inspired Podcast, Bo Bennett.
Thank you. Good to be here.
It's so exciting. Okay. Thank you for your impressive bio. And my first question to you is, how has your background in social psychology influenced your approach to business and entrepreneurship, especially when facing both success and failure?
Well, interestingly, I really didn't get into psychology and social sciences until well after my business career took off. I was always interested in psychology and the social sciences. However, I went to school initially for marketing and business, and then right out of school, I just worked on business and ran my own businesses for a while. It wasn't until about probably 15 years ago, when after I had my first success, my first large success at business, that I had the opportunity to kind of take a step back from business and pursue a more academic career. And that's what I did. And that's when I went back to school, got my master's in general psychology, PhD in social psychology, and then started working more into the critical thinking aspect of it, social sciences. And from that point on, now to answer your question, is like, how did that influence the way that I do business? Well, probably the most important thing is it helps me to make better decisions. Being a more critical thinker, you could think much more clearly and overall better about different options that you have, about different opportunities that you may face, about different scams that you could avoid. And because in business, there's always people trying to take your money, whether it be legitimate or illegitimate. And critical thinking helps you make determine what's the legitimate one and what's not. So that certainly has helped. The one negative maybe is, before my psychology background and training, I was a little bit more open to different ideas. I think I wouldn't say I'm more negative now, but I would say that I'm definitely more skeptical when it comes to evaluating different opportunities in business. I'm a little bit more of a realist, because I know, like, the data, I know the statistics, and so I kind of pulled myself a little bit down to earth, which could be a good thing, but sometimes it's not a good thing. Sometimes you need that wild, crazy, um, that kind of entrepreneurial spirit where you're willing to risk everything in order to make things happen. So that could be a plus or a minus, depending on how you look at it.
Oh, I understand. So you had your first business and then you studied psychology to understand more how the mind works, or let's say conscious mind, subconscious, and how to differentiate between you said the people who are worth give them the money, or and the takers that you said scam, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's taking advantage, or they take your money and you don't get anything, but you get a lesson. You always get something from it. And I love how you pointed out the aspect of social psychology. It's all about statistics. So when I started my studies of psychology, I was a little bit frustrated because I had in mind, oh, now I can read people's minds, but it's not. You have to study or do research and do all the statistics, and then of course you get frustrated, because it's frustrating to see
sure.
how the world runs. And when you buy into it, we are in the money vocabulary here. When you buy into that ideas, then but you can always make a choice, right? So this is the Inspired Choice Today podcast. It's all about choices. What is your next choice? I think I take a look at the next question. What inspired the creation of your sitcom Squad? How do you pronounce this? Squad?
Just
And
squat.
squad.
Squat.
And how do you weave your understanding of human behavior into comedic storytelling?
Well,
Mhm.
I was initially inspired by just a lifetime of watching sitcoms, a lifetime of being a huge fan of comedy in all its forms, stand up comedy, improv, comedic writing, plays, movies, everything, and especially sitcoms. So it's something that I've always wanted to do. And actually, I went on the stand up circuit for about 1 year. I did local comedy bars and places in the Boston area, and it was okay. Sometimes I did pretty well and got a lot of laughs and people liked it. Sometimes I completely bombed, but that's pretty much typical of any stand up comic. But I realized like that wasn't where the passion was. I also tried like improv, which I really enjoyed. Did an improv class in Boston, but that again, it wasn't for me. What was for me, what I did find is my niche of comedic writing, the ability to kind of plan ahead and think about like what line comes next, what line would be absolutely hilarious, and being able to massage that line and work with the vocabulary and the wording and the accents and like everything just to make it so it's like maximally effective in terms of its humor content. So that I enjoyed that ability to kind of sit back and not be on the spot and have to deliver it myself, because I don't think I could deliver humor well, but I think I could write it well. So that's kind of what got me going, it took me a few years to write the sitcom. I started with the initial pilot, and then it turned out I really liked it, so I did another 9 episodes to complete the first season. And then I was kind of shopping it around, didn't get many takers. It did win second place at the New York Film Festival, which was kind of a big one. But still, Hollywood didn't come knocking on my door, so I decided to do it myself and take the next step. I hired the actors, and we did a animated comedy. I did the animation myself. I had to learn how to animate using kind of simple software. Not the best quality animation, but it's something. And then I put it on YouTube for free, and it's under squatspotfitness.com. That's the URL where you could find it. It'll take you directly to YouTube, and you could watch the first 10 episodes. Second part of your question was about integrating like the psychology within the sitcom and critical thinking and everything that I've been working on. And that was very important because I didn't just want just another stupid sitcom where you just tell like stupid jokes and people laugh. I really wanted it to mean something. I wanted to deliver a message in a very comedic way and have people realize like how ridiculous they may be on certain issues, certain religious, political, and social issues, and be able to see something from a different perspective. And I feel like that's one of the best ways to change minds is to deliver something in an easily digestible way. And a sitcom is one of the best ways to do it. So within the sitcom, you'll find a lot of political, social, and religious commentary all weaved in together. No matter what your perspectives and views may be on those different issues, you'll like it. You'll find it enjoyable, like not offensive, and it's easy to digest. In other words, so your people aren't going to be like incredibly offended. They're going to be entertained. That's what it's all about. But you're also going to learn and perhaps adopt a new perspective when it comes to those serious issues in life. And that's kind of what it was all about.
Wow, I love that. So you deliver something people can laugh about, they can identify, and it's not the news.
You're
So
right.
the news on television, but it has talked about religion, politics, and for me the third topic is always health, the topic we don't talk about, right? The three topics. And when you do it in a certain package that, yeah, that delivers the message, I understand, I love it, I will look it up. Please look it up on YouTube, you said. And it's what you said, from the, let's say, from the writing, from the piece of paper, and then you hired the actors. And I can imagine it is difficult, or I don't know how this works when you but it works when you write it down, and then with the how, not how you pronounce it, but how you act from the words, from the written words to the speech, or
Right.
how is
Right.
that?
It's about the execution of the lines. And
Mm.
fortunately, I've been working with a bunch of different actors for a long time through my business and audiobook narration. So I knew kind of who to go to for the different parts. So like as I was writing the parts, I was even thinking, oh, this person would be perfect for it, and they did a wonderful job. But one of the kind of, I didn't give them a lot of direction, but I gave them the scripts in advance so they kind of could build the characters themselves too. And I told them, I said, go ahead, if you're unsure, read the lines like in three different ways, and accent different words, stress different words, and and then just let me make the final decision, the directorial decision, and pick which line is the best. And that's what I did.
I love what you said. I heard this exercise before and now I remember. Yes, you just try it out what fits best. You exercise, or you train, right? Yeah, I don't know the word. You repeat, and then you choose what fits best, and you
Yep.
make the choice. Then it's your project, and this is very amazing what you shared. So let's. I have another question, but I have a question in between. When your life would be a movie, so turned into a movie, which actor would you choose to play? Would you play yourself, or which actor would it be?
Well, it's funny you say that because I actually did write a screenplay about my life, and it's called a mostly magnificent memoir, and it's a little bit fictionalized in a way, but it's also extremely autobiographical. So one of the questions when you pitch a story like that is, who do you see playing this character? And I thought for me, Owen Wilson would be the ideal actor to play me in this. And for those of you who don't know, Owen Wilson, he who is he best known for? Uh,
The movie that is in the museum of
yeah,
national history
yeah,
of.
Night at the Museum. Yeah,
Yeah,
and Night at the Museum, when he plays the little cowboy. Right. I mean,
yeah.
he's like all over. He's one of the actors that's been in like dozens of movies. Owen and Luke Wilson, he and his brother, fantastic guys. But yeah, that's kind of like the humor. He could also be serious, but that's who I'd pick.
I love that. Thank you so much for this spontaneous answer, but yeah, it was there. With the rapid advancement of AI, what ethical concerns do you see arising, and how do you balance innovation with societal, I cannot pronounce this,
Societal.
social, yeah, societal impact in your AI ventures?
Well, for me specifically, I use artificial intelligence in my book publishing businesses. So we use artificial intelligence not only to help people write better descriptions, to help pick the correct keywords, and to help um, with the categories, choose like the best categories for the book, but it's also used to actually write the book. And that poses some ethical issues. Number one being, is it right to take credit for something that you didn't actually do? Like, if AI wrote the book, can you put your name on it and call it your work? Well, there are some legal issues, and the legal areas haven't even been explored yet. I mean, that's going to be something in the future that lawyers have to deal with. But there's the ethical aspect of it. And for me, my perspective and what I tell my clients is, I strongly suggest if you have AI write a book, you use a pseudonym. AI actually chooses a name for the book. I have it set up that way, so it'll choose a pseudonym, and I think that's honest because you're not putting your name to it. It's just a pseudonym, and this isn't something new. I mean, people have been using ghostwriters for centuries, even where somebody else writes the book and they kind of put their name to it. I mean, it's done all the time. Even for some of the big name authors that actually get the full credit for writing the book, they have teams of editors that drastically change the writing and change things around. And when you listen to an interview of like a big name author, they'll usually tell you like, "Oh, I didn't choose the name of the title. Like I didn't do that," or they change the wording, the content, and they're usually not always 100% happy with the way it turned out. But it was a negotiation basically between them and the publishing house. So there's always a lot of different hands in the pot, and with AI, it's nothing different. You're not using a human; you're using an artificial intelligence to do the writing. But also, artificial intelligence isn't only about writing the complete book. A lot of times in our situation, we'll have authors that will use AI to write kind of like the skeleton of the book, the foundation of the book. They'll take it back, they'll do a whole bunch of editing, putting in their own stories, putting in their own personal touch, and then they put their name on it. And that's just like hiring an assistant basically, and having them write some of the mundane connecting verbiage for you that no writer really likes to deal with. So I don't see a problem with that. So at least in my industry, that's kind of where the kind of like the main ethical issue that we have to deal with, and that's my view on it.
Oh, thank you for sharing. I was not aware of it so much. I thought like when we do this for a long time already, using or hiring ghostwriters and editors whatsoever, then where is the problem in using AI? It's even better because it's a technology that, let's say, belongs to everyone, or everyone can use it, right? I think it's only, I would say, I cannot say this, but I would say it's maybe jealousy of the people that are able to use it, and when the people complaining are the ones, they are the non-doers. They are like sitting there and watching, consuming and complaining, right? And
Yeah.
the ones who are creative, then they get blamed for that. But there's a difference between, you want to add something,
Yeah,
there's a
it's
difference.
interesting that you mentioned the word jealousy,
Yeah.
because there is a lot of that going on. It's typically it's people who are afraid of AI, that AI is going to take over their jobs. But there also is an aspect of jealousy to it, and I've seen this firsthand, and I see it daily almost, where authors realize that holy crap, AI does an amazing job, and it can do a better job than I can. And when you have that realization, it's a little bit surprise, a little bit shock and awe, and then also a little bit of jealousy, like, oh darn, I wish I were better. And then you start to like you have an inflated view of yourself, and then you put down AI and say AI is garbage, and you start to get irrational and unreasonable. The truth is, and I could tell you this from experience with all thousands of authors I dealt with over the last 14 years or so, that without question, 95% of the work that AI does is better than the average author. So you still have that like 5% of the authors who are really good and could capture um, what they want to say better. And there's one caveat there that I'm dealing mostly with nonfiction. So I still am not completely happy with AI's output ability to write like an entire fiction novel. There's a lot of human interaction still, and I'm not. It does an okay job, and I think people will buy the books and read them. But I still think the humans have a huge advantage there. But when it comes to nonfiction, that's where AI really shines.
Wow, that's a great share. Thank you so much. And I also wanted to add that what I learned about AI is that there are two categories, like the one when you receive help, so to say, when you have a text already and you use it for corrections or
Mhm.
translation maybe. And then the other one is AI generated, right? When it's totally, when you just give, you prompt a line or the topic, and AI writes the book or the article.
Yeah.
What would you say about that?
Yeah, so there are two great uses for it, and as you
Mhm.
mentioned, one is the generative AI
Mhm.
that's more creative, and you spark that with a prompt, you tell it
Yeah.
what you want, and then it takes over. But yeah, the other one is just to work with it, kind of like as a partner, as like a virtual assistant. And I do this all the time with ChatGPT. I mean, I use it daily, helping me refine some different ideas, helping me with marketing. Find keywords for Google Ads, and then also with language learning. That's something that I'm really starting to build, like using AI to help build the software to help people learn other languages. And I'm doing that myself by learning my own language, or learning another language, obviously, but using it for myself, and then finding out how we can incorporate AI with it. And AI is just amazing. Like, it's an amazing language learning partner, being able to just ask it all these different questions when you don't understand like a certain conjugation of a word. What's the difference between these two words? How is it used? How is it used differently? AI really has fantastic insights there. And unlike the old-fashioned way of Googling things, you have to rely on the fact that somebody at one point asked the question and answered it, and you have to assume that that's a good answer. Whereas with AI, it's the intelligence that's already there that could put together these ideas, and just like it could answer this like a foreign language professor can. And now with the new voices, like the really natural sounding natural conversation that goes back and forth between the new version of Chat GPT and yourself, you can actually just work with it with and say, okay, this is what I've been doing every day. uh, so you're my Spanish teacher, speak in Spanish, and just give me English sentences and have me translate them. I'll translate them, and then you correct me if it's not right, or tell me what I got wrong, and let's just keep going. That is the prompt, and I just tell it that, and we go back and forth for like an hour, with dozens and dozens of different sentences, and it really helps me out.
Oh, thank you so much for mentioning this. This is exactly what I was looking for. Instead of replacing myself through, these, or I can replace my voice as well in the podcast. But it's not like about when you want to build the connection with the guest. I think
Right.
it's also helpful to do this. Thank you so much. I have one last question for you. It is about your, did I ask you about your goals and intentions and your one of your next projects? Maybe.
Well, I think we already hit on that. One of my next projects that I've been working on is the language learning that isn't fully released yet, and I'm still kind of working on the back end. that again, it's really exciting because I think AI is taking language learning to the next level. And it's kind of like a weird dichotomy here because in one sense, using artificial intelligence is helping us not have to learn other languages, because we could literally like have the AI out there and work as a translator and between like any language, hundreds of languages. It does a wonderful job, or at least dozens. I think it's close to 100, whatever. But that's the point. Like with artificial intelligence, the technology is there. It's kind of getting to the point where you don't have to learn another language. But having said that, there is so much benefit to learning another language, being fluent in multiple languages, as you know, I'm sure, and that's never going to go away, right? That's not going to change. There's something about, especially as we get older. I mean, when you learn as a child, that's one thing. When you learn as an adult, and especially an older adult, it really helps with your mental fitness and your cognition. And it's one of the things that could help keep you young and keep you smart and bright. So and then of course, just knowing another language is really great. But if you could do it, if you could actually learn it and do it at an older age, then there's a whole bunch of the cognitive benefits that go along with it. So anyways, the bottom line is, working with artificial intelligence, combination of technology, web-based technology, mobile technology, artificial intelligence, to streamline this process and help people learn faster and more efficient and cheaper than ever before. So that's kind of a recent goal of mine.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing. It's a miracle. I love that I asked the question about AI because I learned so much. Thank you for our interview. And maybe you can mention where we can find you when people reach out to you.
Yeah, you bet. I have two
Mhm.
websites that I'd like to point out. One is my business website. If you're interested in anything that I've been talking about, like the artificial intelligence, the publishing, book publishing, the language learning, go to archieboy.com. That's ARCHIEBOY.com. And that's where you could find all my current businesses that I'm working on. The second is my personal website, where you could find all of the books that I've written about social science, cognition, critical thinking, and similar topics, and even the fun stuff that I was talking about as well, my memoir and the squat, and that's at bobennett.com. That's just my name, Bo, BOBENNETT.com.
Wow, that was an incredible interview. Thank you so much for being here, for being my guest. And I see you in the next episode.
Thank you so much.